Injury report. Looks like everyone's back that was gone from Western.
Yeah, everyone skated today. We did a high-paced practice to start, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Cole downstairs to see how they're doing, but all indications are they finished practice, so we're expecting them to play.
Ben Pat, what's his status? He wasn't out there today, was he?
No, Ben is, I do believe, getting surgery on his shoulder.
Okay.
That's why we have another young man came in. And unfortunately for Ben, it's just one of those things that kept popping out, so we have to get taken care of. Needs to be ready for next year. So
Ben's done for the year?
I do believe so.
Okay. Jason, with both Mikey and Dylan at the World Juniors, what's the blue line group going to look like this weekend? You just call up Hunter Lele and Jake Rosenbaum? Or?
Yeah, those guys have all gotten minutes, and they've continuously gotten better, and you recruit guys for reasons, and I believe that it gives these kids an opportunity. They know what's at stake. They're great teammates, and I don't see any reason why they can't come in there and compete, and it's going to be one of those compete-type weekends. It's not going to be a real fancy game, in my opinion, from what I've seen on film, so I expect those kids to come in and compete and do a great job.
Hunter Lele, how have you seen him grow as a player, taking advantage of the sometimes limited minutes he's gotten?
Well, that's the thing, is the one thing I really like about Hunter, and there's kids who always want to watch film, and they want to watch video, and sometimes it's frustrating as a coach because you feel sometimes they just want to watch themselves play versus learn from the video. And I've talked to some NHL guys about that, and they have the same problem up there. And when I got Hunter Lelig coming in and asking to watch video of some of our other defensemen, some of his teammates, I think that tells you a lot about Hunter and his approach to trying to get better. And he's a good student. Everything about Hunter says that he's going to be a big part of this program moving forward.
Jake Rosenbaum, what have you seen out of him in practice? We've only got to see him one game this year.
Jake's an interesting kid. I love the kid, and I think that he's just waiting for his opportunity, and that'll come in time. Our situation with what happens at the end of years with the kind of players that we have right now, and I know he's waiting in the wings for his opportunity, but we'll see how it goes this weekend, see if we get a chance to get him in.
What has he shown you in practice? Is he going pretty hard, like he's one of the guys that could be in there every game? How's he handling what can kind of be a tough situation?
Well, that's what comes with being a great teammate. Mm-hmm. He knew coming in this year that we were going with 9 defensemen because there was a lot of uncertainties early in the summer of what was going to happen with some of our other guys. And I think that every day he comes and works hard. I think every day he's got a great approach. I know he's been working really hard on his schooling, which allows him to play in the first place. That's which I think is a big step for him. But I think he fits in well with our crew, and he works extremely hard every practice.
Talked about Hunter, and certainly Hildy's benefited too from having the 19 skater rule. I know Scott was kind of apprehensive about it going into the year, wasn't sure what good it would do, but looking at it now, how much good has this done to have those extra defensemen available and even for limited minutes, to give them that experience of getting out there and understanding what it's like going into this weekend? Right.
Well, to me, it's a fine line between experience and just sitting there being a cheerleader. And we've had long discussions about that, and it's hard in certain games. And our league, it's hard to get, once things get rolling, or even if things go sour, it's hard to get them in there just for a token shift here and there. But go back to Hunter Lelig. He's an extremely competitive kid, and I can't remember which weekend it was, but we lost a couple defensemen to penalties. Next thing you know, he's out there on pretty important penalty kills, and he did a heck of a job. And that kind of experience, when you get in there doing something about it and doing something with that time, is huge.
Minnesota State to open this tournament on Friday in Arizona. A little weird not having the head coaches involved in this game at all. But what are your thoughts on the Mavericks?
Well, obviously a very good hockey team. I like watching them on film. They do everything that we try and do. They play fast, they play heavy, they play skilled. They play fast. Did I say that already? Yeah, they play fast, and I think that I just go back and look at the games that they didn't win this year and the types of teams they played against, and they all seem to have one thing in common, is that they got outworked and they got outbanged. I look at the second game, I think it was against North Dakota, and we saw that here the second night when they got mad because they didn't win the first night, and they brought an extra level of physical play. Then they went to Bemidji and lost a game. Again, we've all seen the Bemidji State Beavers play. You know what I mean? They're faster in your face, and they keep coming. And obviously Bowling Green's just as old as Mankato, and just as strong and just as big and just as fast. Maybe not quite as skilled, but they outplayed them for 6 periods, in my opinion, by just playing that way. So it's going to be a huge challenge for our guys to bring up that side of our game. We haven't seen a whole lot of it. It needs to get better, obviously. I think they have it in them, and we're looking forward to seeing what happens.
From a point accumulation standpoint, the first half maybe didn't end the way you wanted it to. What's one thing you want to see this team improve on as the second half gets started this weekend?
You know what? It didn't end the way we wanted to, Bruce, but I can tell you this, that we learned a lot about our hockey team with the manpower that was not in our lineup going into a very hard place to play against a very fast, physical, skilled team. We found a way to lose late in the game, and that hurt us the first night. And the second night, we lose in a shootout. I think there's a lot to be learned about that environment and some of the minutes those kids got in that environment. And I think if they can take that forward and our group understand the learning experience they had there, and I think we had a little bit of that last year in the tournament. We didn't have quite as good a first half as we did this year. Actually, not good at all, in my opinion, compared to the second half. But we learned something in that tournament that we could all play and contribute without our top players. And I think that going forward is going to make practice more competitive every day. When you can get a lot of guys in the lineup with a lot of minutes this weekend, that when those boys come back, we'll be fighting for those same minutes, which I think our team, I think competitive level every day is going to go through the roof when that happens.
Jason, what does it mean to have Parker McKay back in the lineup? Not just his skills, but what he brings from a leadership perspective, especially maybe late in those games.
Well, I think you've already answered that. It's just a leadership perspective. There's a reason why we probably knew he wasn't going to play in Western. He still went on the trip just to be with the guys and let them know he's there with them in a tough battle. So having Parker be able to actually take that onto the ice is obviously a great thing for us.
What does he bring at the end of games? Do you think he's a key component? Is it that leadership?
He's always a key component because of his competing. And you know what? Parker knows this too. And those guys that are in that room, Carson Koeman last year was the same way. They made mistakes, just like everybody, but they never did it being uncompetitive, slow. You know what I mean? Like, they bring that something, and a lot of times coaches don't know exactly what it is. It's that one thing that comes and it kind of gathers everyone together. And Blake Young did that for us as a non-captain last year when he was on our bench and playing games. I think our level of being ready on the bench and into the game, even if you're not on the ice in any particular time, but just being involved in the game, watching before your shifts come up, I think is huge. And I think Parker gets our bench rallied.
Jason, what did it mean to you in the offseason be promoted to associate head coach?
Well, obviously it's a big deal for me, and the biggest part for me is knowing Coach Sandlin has never done it before, and my duties haven't changed. It's not like I get more say or less say. We still go about our everyday business every week, just like we have my last 8 years. But the fact that he did that for me says a lot for knowing that he hasn't done it before.
Do you have any chances? I was talking to Bruce. We were saying at the end of last year's press conference, Scott was more worried about having to replace his entire coaching staff than we asked him about early departures, and he said, "I'm more concerned about replacing my coaching staff." What opportunities were out there for you in the off season, either in the college or elsewhere?
There's always opportunities for guys that are always looking for them. And I wasn't necessarily looking for him, and I'm not. I'm a believer, and I've learned this from Coach Sandlin, that you just do your job, you do it well, and people will call you. And I did get a couple calls, and bottom line is my family's really happy here, and I'll take it year by year. And as of right now, I got my daughter here, my son playing for the Wilderness, my wife with a great job, and I get to have my fires in my backyard on Sundays, and I get to hunt deer. I get to be who I am away from the rink in Duluth. Like I grew up, so I'm not in any hurry to see that go away.
What would you be looking for in a head coaching opportunity? Like Lars, have a place that's still close to that fire pit and deer hunting?
No, that's not the be-all, end-all. Don't get me wrong. It's just that my point when I say that is that I'm not out exploring every second. I'm not sending resumes the next NHL assistant or American League assistant or even just a scouting. It's not the way I operate. Take care of this year first.
Overall vibe with the guys kind of gone. I'm assuming you kind of mentioned it earlier, a bit more competitive, getting more little time, but what's kind of everyone, is it kind of like they're excited for seeing how far they can go too, while they're doing well here? Yes,
that's part of being a college athlete, in my opinion. That's part of the gig is when you lace them up or you get that scholarship, you come to a school, and part of your DNA is being competitive and seeing how far you can go, and if you do well in that situation, you should have opportunity to move on later.
Thoughts on seeing just how well you can see tonight, how well the guys will do tonight in the first round of the World Championship.
I'm excited for them. You know, I love the fact that Mikey was named captain. I think that it's pretty cool as a family, if you think about it, with Joey and Mikey, two totally different personalities, both getting the same job in a situation like that. The one thing I know that Coach Sandlin and I have talked about, and it was accolades from Coach Hastings, was that this summer, it all started this summer when Mikey and those guys were down in I think it was Kamloops. I think they were down doing some stuff this summer, and they were still the guys to pack the bus, be the last guys cleaning up the room. You know, like they're wired that way, and that's, I guess, is kind of the kids we recruit. And Coach Hastings stood back, "Oh man, you got some great kids." He didn't say great players. He didn't go that far. I know they're great players, but he just said you got great kids. You recruit great people, and obviously that makes us and our program feel great.
I'm sure it's going to be nice to get to some warmer weather here for the next couple of days. But what else about this tournament and this holiday classic do you think attracted UMD to say, you know, hey, we should be part of this? You
know what? That's actually, you know, no offense, that's probably a better question for Coach Sandlin. He does the scheduling. You know, I found out the same time everyone else did. We know we had talked about some opportunities to. I know a couple years back, was it 4 years back? We went to Florida.
Yeah.
For a tournament, and the way our exam schedule worked this year, we had a lot of time off before actual Christmas Day, you know, so bringing the guys back at that time of year I don't think is always optimal, but this time they had plenty of time off, so I think that helped. And just going to play some other teams, doing something different. I know we've talked about maybe going to Canada one year and playing a tournament up there, kind of like we did with Thunder Bay. We went and played a couple games. You get to do that every 4 years and just give our kids other experiences. We talked about going east more, just so make sure every class we have at some point in their time here has gone out east and experienced that. You know, so I think this was just another one of those, let's give them a different experience that they can, you know, relish back on and think about. We love the fact that it's 4 good hockey teams. I like the fact that we're playing Mankato first. I do. I think it's fun. I think we recruit very similar kids, albeit theirs are a little older, but very similar type people and coming from the same areas, in my opinion. I'm always with the Mankato assistant coaches when we're on the road, and the whole staff is very good friends of ours. Obviously, there's no friends when it comes down to dropping the puck, but I'm sure we'll talk before and we'll talk after the game and continue to do our thing. And I'm sure the kids know a lot of their kids too. So I think it's fun. I think that's a great part of college athletics. It's great fun for the coaching staffs and hopefully for the administrations too.